Murdaugh was back in court today trying to reshape his second murder trial before it even starts. Big day in this case. Murdaugh's defense wanted to keep prosecutors from using his testimony from his first murder trial at the second one. Murdaugh took the stand in 2023, admitting he had lied for months about being at the dog kennels just minutes before his wife Maggie and son Paul were murdered. His lawyers argued that using that testimony again would violate his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. The judge rejected that argument, meaning prosecutors can use Murdaugh's own sworn words against him, even if he decides not to take the stand this time around, and that could be a big win for the state. But Murdaugh did get a win of his own. His lawyers argued there was no way he could get a fair trial in an impartial jury in Colleton County or anywhere in South Carolina's 14th Judicial Circuit. They pointed to the massive publicity, the Murdaugh family decades-long connection to the local legal system, and the jury interference by former court clerk Becky Hill that overturned the verdict in his first trial. And the judge agreed. The retrial will be moved out of the 14th Circuit. To where? We don't yet know. And there are still other major fights ahead. Murdaugh's team is trying to get the murder and weapon indictments thrown out entirely, claiming false physical evidence was presented to the grand jury. And they're trying to limit how much the next jury will hear about his financial crimes after the South Carolina Supreme Court ruled that prosecutors went too far with it the first time. The retrial set to begin April 5th, 2027. But even if Murdaugh beats the murder charges, he's not walking out of prison. He's still serving a 40-year federal sentence for those financial crimes, stealing millions of dollars from clients and others who trusted him. Which brings us to Eric Bland, the attorney who helped expose Murdaugh's financial crimes. He's also the host of the podcast Cup of Justice and was in the courtroom today. I spoke with him earlier. The prosecution got his testimony in. The defense got the change of venue. So, it feels like kind of a split decision. But as you see it, who won?
Oh, the prosecution won. To get his testimony in from the first trial about him lying at being at the kennels and other things that he disclosed under oath about how he wasn't truthful with law enforcement officers, even when they interviewed him initially at 10 o'clock at night when he found Maggie and Paul's body, continuing on through the trial, to be able to get his own words to come in before a jury where he admitted being a liar and he admitted being a financial thief and stealing from his friends and his clients. I think it's a very, very positive prosecution ruling, and it exceeds the fact that there's going to be a change of the venue. Quite frankly, I think that he would have gotten a better trial from people in Hampton County because he's so well known, and there's a lot of people that still like him in Hampton County.
Right. I mean, the connections are so great in this entire state and in these counties that we're talking about. And to see him today come in a suit and tie was something as well.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's a good thing. It will show maybe to jurors or potential jurors, oh, my goodness, he looks like he's not in prison. But everybody knows he's serving the rest of his life in state and federal prison for stealing millions of dollars from his clients and my clients. And he's on trial for double murder. So I don't think going to Charleston is going to be an advantage for the defense. I don't think they're going to end up in Charleston because of logistics, but they're going to definitely and should be in a modern courthouse. The Colleton County Courthouse was over 120 years old. It couldn't handle a trial like this. There was no overflow in the hallways, bad parking. I think it's going to be in a very urban setting where there's hotels, there's a lot of parking at the courthouse. Media will be able to set up. But look, everybody knows Alex Murdaugh. If you don't know Alex Murdaugh or you don't know of him, I'm not sure I want you on the jury.
Right. And listen, and when you go back and you listen to what he said in that first trial, when he talks about how he started being a liar and once he got started, he couldn't really stop and he had to just keep lying, that's going to be very important in this next trial. Do you think he's going to take the stand this time around? A lot of people wondering that. I mean, does he have to if they're going to be letting those own words in?
Oh, I think he does have to now, especially since his other testimony is going to come in, and he's going to have to explain away why he said what he did, which is lie to even his son Buster for 2 years. Can you imagine that? When he's the only survivor, and you lie to Buster, your only son, about when you saw his mother and brother before they died. I just, it's going to be a lot to overcome, and that was a huge win for the prosecution.
Yeah. And when we talk about
he's just not a believable person. You know, when you start talking about the financial crimes, it's like if I order a steak and I take a bite of that steak and the steak is bad, I'm not going to eat the rest of the steak. It's the same way here. When you hear that he lied for 2 years and then he stole millions from his clients, then all of a sudden you're going to believe what he has to say. I just don't see it happening.
You know, when we talk about the change of venue, as you mentioned, the entire country knows the Alex Murdaugh story, and you just got to wonder, you know, who they are that they're going to seat for this jury. But we'll get to that eventually. The state Supreme Court said the prosecutors went too far with the financial crimes the first time. This is where you come in. Where will they draw the line this time? This has been a really important part of prosecuting Alex Murdaugh.
I think the Supreme Court made a mistake. I certainly understand that they felt that too much of the financial crimes came in, but just saying that they went too far and too deep and they can't go too far and too deep next time, that doesn't give a good roadmap. So no matter what is let in by this judge on the financial crimes, Harpootlian and Griffin, if they get an adverse verdict, they're going to appeal it again and say too much came in. So it's going to be a very tough balancing act for Judge McCaslin, because the Supreme Court just said, don't go too far, don't go too deep. Well, what does that mean, Laura? I don't know what that means to you.
Right. Yeah, no. And in terms of what we expect for the next time around, do you expect the same verdict this time?
No, I forecasted it was going to be a hung jury. I thought that there was always going to be one or two people that would vote that there wasn't a guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That's why, Laura, the financial crimes that we were so instrumental in getting him convicted of were so important, because he is serving the rest of his natural life.
That's right.
No matter how long he lives in state prison for 23 more years. He's 56 years old. He's going to then have to go to federal prison for another 13. The odds of him living to 92 years old in general population is not happening.
And our thanks to Eric Bland.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.